We started off with mindset and figuring out how we can improve our mindset and specifically improve our mindset around sales and really switching the thought process in our mind about sales being some icky thing where we're trying to convince someone to do something to I just want to help as many people as I can. And if I think I can help you, it's my responsibility to show you how I can help you, show you how I can take that pain away, and then it's up to you to decide whether you want it or not, right? So we spent a good deal of time in there and how you can invest some time in yourself to feel more confident, to feel like you're ready to succeed. But if you take nothing else away from that first session, I want you to take the reframe from I'm trying to sell something to I'm just trying to show people that I can help them. That's it. In the next, not the next week, the week after that, in week three, we then talked about taking someone from this concept of suspect through to prospect. So in week three, it was all very much around focused on the crossover between marketing and the marketing activity that we should all be doing as part of our everyday business through to we've had a one-to-one with them and we've asked them some really interesting, subtle questions to identify that there might be some form of pain there that I can help solve. The real key takeaway in that session was you don't try and sell anything until you've identified that there's something that you can help them with, number one. And number two, make sure that you're subtly just asking some interesting or interested questions to identify that. And then we go to week five, which was 2 weeks ago, where we've identified these people as prospects. What are we going to do now to wow them, to make them warm and juicy so that they then decide that they want to have a meeting with us where we can show them during that process how we can help them and then get them to hurry up. And throughout the 3 weeks that we've been working on this accelerator, or the six weeks that we've been working on the accelerator on and off, there are a few kind of key concepts that I just want to drill home before I share with you the process. So the first one, obviously, it goes without saying, we're looking to help people. You can have anything in your life that you want if you'll just help enough people get what they want. So that's the first thing. Then we talked about the trust, need, help, hurry. So we need to first make sure they trust us before we identify some sort of need. They're not going to tell you their need until they trust you. So trust, need, then you're going to show them how you help them, and then you're going to get them to hurry up. So trust, need, help, hurry. And then throughout the 6 weeks, we've been talking about these two thermometers, the trust thermometer and the skepticism thermometer. The trust thermometer will always start low when you're taking someone from a place where they don't know you, and the skepticism thermometer will always start high. And you've got to take them on this dance where we wow them, where we demonstrate credibility, we show them how we can help them, we do things that don't necessarily, from an outward perspective, seem like they're full of self-interest. We're all trying to sell stuff. There's no getting away from it. There's an element of self-interest in everything that we're talking about. But if you do it in a way where it's not overtly so, you'll reduce the skepticism, you'll increase the trust, and off we go. Without further ado, I'm going to share my screen. This is a pipeline that I have created to, it's not the actual pipeline that we use, because the actual pipeline that we use has people in here. You can see we've got one prospect in here, Mr. Pete Moles, and he is a suspect that we've identified as someone that we suspect might be interested in what we're selling, right? That's the point that we're always starting from. I will cancel that phone call. Now, a couple of things in when we're at this stage. I think it's worth going back to some of the things that we talked about in the marketing accelerator And to get to a point where you've got suspects, I believe that what you need to do is a few things that were all covered in the Marketing Accelerator. You can all access the videos. Some of you might have done this, some of you might not. The first thing to do is start with the avatar or ideal customer profile, right? That is the most important thing that you can do to avoid wasting a shit ton of time when it comes to trying to sell stuff. By getting really clear on who you want to target, it will help you move forward much faster. Now, if you are in a B2B bigger business scenario, you're someone that is trying to get into a bigger business that's not directly targeting the business owner, the first step really is to identify the type of company and the industry that you want to go after before you then go, who's the profile within that industry. So someone like Laura, for example, I don't even think she's on the call, but someone like Laura who's looking to sell to very big office buildings and warehouse buildings where they've got lots of people, she might identify businesses with 50 or more clients, 50 or more people with bums on seats in Swindon, because that's where she lives. But there will be several personas that she would go after. There's an office manager who's likely to have a different persona to the finance director, who might have a different persona to the managing director. So I don't want to cover it anymore. There's loads of content on that in another video. Go find it if you want to find it. The next thing that I want to point out before we get started with suspect identification is I always think it's best to leverage your time. If you want to succeed in business and grow, it's really important that you leverage your time and other people's time. So we have this concept whereby when we've identified the companies and the profiles, the avatars that we want, we would look to target 200 and then focus on 30. Again, there's a video on it. I'm not going to explain it in detail. My reasons behind it are tested and valid. If you want to know more about it, go and watch that video. Let's assume that you're now focusing on 30. I'm sorry, you're going to let that. Perfect. Perfect. So we've identified these 30 people that are suspects, Peter Maltz being one of them, but there would be another 29 people in this section of the pipeline. What we're going to do, they don't know us. So the first thing that we are going to do is follow the GER process, which we talked about, but just for your benefit, I'm going to go over it. I'm going to reference the other video because we talked about it already. But the best way to make friends quickly and make your suspect known or you known to your suspect is to do this kind of five-stage process on LinkedIn where possible. Now, I completely get that some of your prospects or your suspects might not be hanging out on LinkedIn. And if not, then let's talk about other ways that you might do this. But the GER process, just for a very quick recap, have a goal. The goal is I want to be known by the 30 people on my target list. That's the goal, right? You want to get known. The first R is research. You want to research who they are, where they're hanging out, what they're saying. Then you need to resonate with something that they're saying. So that might be they know Katie, or they know Nikki, or they know one of your clients, or you used to go to school with their sister, or you adopted a dog from the same dog sanctuary. Who cares what it is, but you must find some stuff that you can resonate with them about. Once you've done that, you need to reveal yourself. And the way that you reveal yourself is look like, comment, share. That doesn't actually look like, comment, share. It's much more around going deep on the profile, looking, liking, commenting, liking. Let's then Chris on to mute and commenting. Comments are what we all crave, gang. So when you want to be known by someone, comment on their stuff and comment on enough stuff and they will respond. And in the moment that they respond, they will know who you are and it's likely that they will comment back and you can start that relationship with them. Over the course of some time, you're going to do that GER, and then at some point, you're going to connect. And the following step that you need to do is put your big boy or girl pants on, and you need to reach out with a really compelling message. And ultimately, you need to find a way using your linguistic silver tongues and silver fingers to get Peter to book a one-to-one with you. Not to try and sell him anything, just to get to know each other as a person. You guys are all networkers. You can pitch that in a way where it's completely non-salesy and you just have a one-to-one. The goal is to get Peter to one-to-one booked. Okay, once you've done that, we move Peter along the pipeline and he's sitting in your one-to-one, one booked. There are some other prospecting methods of prospecting that we also talked about in week 3 of the accelerator. So there's 9 other ways that you can prospect if GER doesn't work for you. But you're going to make that booking and then you're going to come along to the meeting. A nice little wow that I always think is worth chucking in there. You've booked a meeting, you need to identify who it's with. You need to identify where it is. Is it on Zoom? Is it on Teams? Is it face to face? Is it a phone call? What is it? When is it? How long are you giving it? Send them a little calendar invite, inviting them to it. This is common stuff. I'm playing to all layers of understanding of this right now. So do those things. And if you want a little bonus point, I would encourage you the morning of or the day before to send them a little voice note, a little video note, just saying, hey, I'm really looking forward to, I saw that post that you did. I'm really looking forward to meeting you or something. The more touches that you can place on this prospect, the more trust you will build, the more skepticism will come down, the more likely you are of doing business in the future. Bonus point for the wow. Then you're going to have the meeting, right? So you're going to have the meeting, and the goal of this first meeting is absolutely not to sell. You must not try and sell anything. Your job is twofold. Demonstrate that more than you're letting on. Listen a lot more than you talk, and identify a pain point that you can help solve. So it's threefold. I can't count clearly, but it's threefold. And if you include the obvious stuff like building rapport, making them like you, then it's fourfold. But at a fundamental level, listen more than you talk, ask great questions that are going to cleverly unearth that there's something that you can have a problem with. So if it's Katie, for example, she might turn up at that meeting smiley and happy and go, oh, it's mad busy. I've just been with this client and they've got this sort of people person problem that's going on. I'm not sure whether you ever have that sort of thing, but my God, what a pain in the neck. And she's just made a statement followed by a question, and then you shut up and you listen. You can apply that to every single person in this room. There will be stuff that you can say, I've just turned up. Oh my gosh, it was so difficult. I don't know whether you can ever relate. If they say, no, I can't relate, then that's not the place that you go and hang your hat when you're trying to sell the next step. And you just ask another one of your questions and ask another one of your questions and see whether there's an opportunity. Remember, not everyone is going to go from being a suspect to being a prospect, and that's absolutely fine. I think it's really important to get to this point, to get to the end of this meeting. You want to do one of two things. You want to either qualify them as a prospect or disqualify them as a prospect. And if you disqualify them as a prospect, you want to send them back to marketing. Because just because they're not a prospect now, Laura, because they have got another 2 years on their office contract, or Chris, because they are already doing some therapy, thank you very much. They're not a prospect right now because they've got someone in place. But it doesn't mean that in 3 months, 6 months, 3 years, 7 years, they might not be ready. And if you don't send them back to marketing and keep them juicy, you won't have another pop at them. So qualify them as a prospect, disqualify them, but send them back to marketing. And what that might look like might be they hit your email list. And that's probably the most important thing I could tell you that's linked to the marketing accelerator that we've not talked about thus far. We should all have some sort of newsletter list that we're sending out useful stuff to our suspects, our prospects once in a while, every week, every fortnight, every month, every 3 months. You should all be doing it. Okay, let's just assume that Peter has absolutely said, oh yeah, I can resonate with that. God, my team, what a bloody nightmare. And Katie's ears go ding. Okay, he's got some people problems. I don't, by the way, Katie. I love my team. However, let's pretend Katie hears that. She hears that little pain point that she's bagged. She maybe gives a little tip or something, but she doesn't try and sell me anything. And all she does is she qualifies me as a prospect and has a little internal smile. The next step, and I'm teaching you all stuff that I've taught you already, but repetition is the mother of learning on all of that stuff, right? She's identified me as a prospect. Then she's going to go into LEPT. LinkedIn, email, post, telephone. So she's going to move me to LinkedIn. 12 hours to 24 hours after Katie's met me, she is going to post that she had a delightful conversation with me and she loved it. And this is what she learned. And she's going to stroke my ego a little bit because I like my ego being stroked, because we all like our ego being stroked a little bit. And then she's going to send me a really breezy message saying, hey, Pete, really loved our chat. Let's keep in touch. Simple. What she's done is by the time we've got to the point where she knows that I'm a prospect, the day afterwards, there are literally 5 touches that she's placed on me over that period of time. Remember what we talked about? They say that it takes, I can't even remember the stat off the top of my head. Is it 7? They say on average it takes 7 touches to convert someone. That's not true, by the way. It takes way more than that in my experience.
7-11-4, isn't it? Is it that one?
It's not that one. I think there's a well-known stat that says it takes on average 7 touches to, Laura's going to look it up in one of the other slide decks and she'll tell us by the end of the session. I think it's 7. The industry standard is 7.
Sounds about right, Pete, but I think it does change a little bit between about 5 and 7 touch points.
Yeah, and in my experience, it's about 2 and 300, to be honest with you. 7, if anyone can do it in 7 touch points, they're doing pretty well, in my opinion. But the point is that in LinkedIn, by doing that step, you've just got 2 more, right? So that's why we do it. You've got 2 more. Then once you've done that, you say, okay, that's done. I'm going to move them on to the email. Now, Sarah's going, we can automate some stuff. I don't care whether you automate it or not. It makes it a little bit easier. But what you can do is automate this step. You drag it from LinkedIn to email, and then the system might just spit out a, hey, Katie, hey, Pete, sorry, Katie might say this to me. Hey, Pete, it was brilliant spending time with you yesterday. Been thinking about one of the things you talked about. Here's this thing, blog, email, video, podcast, whatever it is, this piece of collateral, this useful piece of something that I'm going to give to you to share my knowledge that's going to add value to you. And she's not going to try and sell me. She's just going to give. And I'm going to go, oh, it's quite nice. Thanks, Katie. Appreciate that. And then I'm still not going to have a nail in the foot because I don't know I've got a nail in the foot problem. It's probably just a pebble in the shoe. My team are annoying me from time to time. And then she's going to move me on. So from email, she's going to wait 3 days. 3 days. It's an arbitrary number, right? I'm picking these out of my bum, whatever. Choose the amount of time and then write a card, a postcard, a letter. Don't care what it is. The reason that you're going to write something, handwrite something, is that we established that most of us get about 150 emails a day. Most of us get 50 WhatsApps a day, but none of us got more than 300 things in 3 months. So when you want to get a message that's going to break through You need to swim against the tide and deliver it in a way that is not being delivered by other people. So that's why that post step is in there. And what Katie's going to say to me is, Pete, I can't stop thinking about our chat. Exclamation mark. Okay, that's got my attention. You said that your team were causing you some challenges, and I've got no idea whether I can help, but I'd love to see if I can. What do you say we meet to talk about it? No problem, no pressure either way, Katie. I like your style, Katie. You've spent £2.20 on a card and a postage stamp, but you've got my attention. Still not at the top of my priority list, by the way. I like the fact that she's written me a card, but I'm really busy and I'm working lots of hours and yada yada. I'm probably not going to do anything with it. Let's be honest. We're all busy. And that's why Katie then needs to wait 2 or 3 days after, put on the biggest of big girl pants and pick up the phone and say, hey, Pete, did you get my card? And I'll go, yeah, it's great touch. Well done. Nice work. And she'll go, look, it might go nowhere, but I'd love to show you how I can help. What do you say? Let's book some time. And in that moment, I'll go, yeah, sure. Why not? I wasn't looking for it, but now you're presenting it in such a nice way and you've touched me all of these times. Why not? Let's do it. And she'll book me in. And she'll go, now listen, I'm going to give you a couple of hours of my time. I'm going to really help you get clear, the team, and I promise you that I'm just going to look to help. I'm going to give you strategies that I guarantee will help you improve communication and all that stuff. I'll give you that time, but would you do me a favor? To make sure we get the most out of our time together, if I send you a little questionnaire on the background of the business, about the number of team you've got, about what some of the challenges are, if I send that to you, will you fill it in? And I'll go, now you're asking, Katie. But if I say no, am I really a prospect? The answer to that's no, I'm not a prospect. It's not a big enough nail in my foot to make me move on. If I say yes and she's picked the scab and I go, actually, this is something that needs to be talked about, I'll fill in her questionnaire. So let's take it away from Katie and put it back on me. I use this business background questionnaire with every single one of my one-to-one clients. And that questionnaire is an absolute pain in the arse. Has anyone filled in I don't think there's anyone that's filled in my business background questionnaire, but it will take you a minimum of an hour. I don't apologize for it. It will make you feel really uncomfortable because I'm going to ask you all sorts of stuff about how incompetent you are in the questionnaire, so I don't have to do it face to face. And I always back it up with, but I promise you that it's going to help me put a strategy in place that you can employ. And I promise you, by doing this, I will give you stuff that's going to help you move your business forward. It's all about the framing, right? If I was to say, who wants to fill in one of my hour-long questionnaires, you'd all go, fuck off, Pete. All of you. But if you're motivated to improve your business, and I say, I'm going to give you some of my time, but my time is valuable. If you want my help, if you fill in this questionnaire, I'll give you some time and I'll help you move forward. Some of you might fill in that questionnaire. So do it, don't do it. This is my process, not yours. And what I am not telling you is that you need to follow this verbatim because you're your own people. I'm just showing you the benefit of doing one step after another and some of the psychology behind it.
Just to put one more layer onto that questionnaire piece, they fill it in, they go through that process, you're really getting them to identify their pain points. They're committing themselves into the questionnaire. And it's a layer of, from a sort of psychology perspective, getting them to commit almost.
So if I think about the people on this call that it could work for, from my top left to my bottom, I think, Nikki, you could absolutely do something like this before a meeting. Katie, 100% you could. Sarah, you could absolutely do this. Luke, you could do something like this for sure. Nikki, 100%. Emma, yeah, you could do it. Kat, definitely you should be doing this. Laura, maybe not. Probably, possibly not for you. Chris definitely could. Katie definitely could. Sophie definitely could. Natalie, she could. I think she could. So just because I say you could doesn't mean you should. It just means take it, don't take it. I don't really care. This is what I do. Katie's convinced me to do her business background questionnaire where I talk about my HR challenges, right? She moves me on to business background questionnaire received. She's got it back. It's another step. It's another, I've jumped through the first big hurdle, really. I call it a strategy session. You can call it whatever the hell you want to call it. Emma, you might call it a strategy session. Nikki, you might call it a cash flow session, a confident cash flow session. Nikki, you might call it a design briefing. No, maybe you wouldn't call it a design briefing. I don't know what you'd call it, but we can come up with something that you'd call it. You definitely don't want to call it a sales meeting to the prospect. So the strategy session is confirmed. Woohoo! She's booked me on to a strategy session. I have bought the process so far. Now we get to the point where the strategy session is confirmed. There's a few things that you need to do again. So you're going to want to confirm where it is, what time it is, who's going to be there. Potentially, you're going to need to, based on what the background questionnaire throws up, you might go, would it make sense if we got Jerry, your business partner, in on this? Once you've got that knowledge, before you book it in, so this is a phone conversation that you're going to do. Sorry, there's a phone conversation to book in the strategy session, by the way. You're going to see who needs to be there. You're going to send over the email about it. You might send over a little bit of information about how you work, about your unique process. Remember, we talked about that 2 weeks ago, your unique process. You might send that over to them. You might send over a case study of success you've had with a client like theirs. You might not, but if you want to touch them more, and the aim of the game is to touch them as much as you can, you might choose to do that. So strategy session is confirmed. You're going to tell them how long it's going to take, and then the strategy session takes place. Now, if you've diarised an hour, 90 minutes, 2 hours, the real key is to deliver value very early on in that process. So lead almost after the rapport section, which you're going to do in 5 or so minutes, you're going to lead to, I identified this. I don't know whether you've ever tried, but I've seen this work really well for people like you. Just give them an idea right up front that's going to help them go, I can see that this person has got knowledge that I haven't got that is going to help me to improve my business ultimately. So the way that I always run my sales meetings is I spend 2/3 of the time, my strategy sessions, trying to focus as much as I can on them, their challenges, and how I can help. So 2/3 of the time, it's literally about, let's talk about this challenge. How could you overcome it? Let's talk about this challenge. How could you overcome it? And we brainstorm together and we have fun and we laugh a little bit, hopefully. And we build that trust thermometer right up. With about 1/3 of the meeting to go, I'll switch focus. I've got a little alarm on my watch which buzzes, and that kind of reminds me that I need to go into, let's flip the switch over. And I start to tail off giving advice. And I start to go, look, from what we've talked about, I'm absolutely confident that I can help you. What do you think? Shut up. The person who speaks first is the one that's buying. Either they're buying from you or you're buying their excuses. So ask that question, shut up. And then they'll probably go, yeah, I think so. That sounds really good. And then you go, look, let me show you how I can help you. Let me show you how I work with my clients. And you go through that process that I've talked to you about. So my process is we'd get together for half a day and we're going to talk about where you want to be, how long it is, until you retire, what the business looks like at that point, at that day. What does it look like for you? We talk about what they want to have achieved, how big the company's going to be, where the holidays that they want to go on. I get them thinking big picture, the art of the possible, and I kind of juice that up and I make it exciting for them. And then I say we're going to spend another half a day looking at what the business needs to achieve in 10 years, in 3 years, in 1 year, and then the first 90 days. So we're going to do that first big piece of work to figure out where we're going, and then we're going to break it back and break it back and break it back. And then once we've got that in place, there's a backbone of business planning that works through everything that I do. We would get together every single week. You would fill in a scorecard with the key numbers in your business before we meet. You would talk about the challenges that you face that week, the biggest opportunities that week, and we'd talk about where you want to be in 3 months' time. And I would set you stuff that you need to achieve by the following week. And that's the way it works. And then I'd talk about a little bit about some of my other clients, and I'd go, what do you think? And 50% of the time when I do it in that exact way, they go, yeah, I love it. When can we start? And I don't even send a proposal anymore. I just go, look, I can raise the paperwork and we can get, I've got, my diary's fucking bedlam, to be honest. So it's often a case of when I can fit 2 half-day sessions in that determines when we can get going. But I show them that and show them how busy my diary is. And I go, look, we could do it here and here, take it or leave it. And I've not done it in a while, but often they say yes. So I've gone strategy session complete. Now I wanted, based on the feedback that I had last week, to include a little section for those of you who love a proposal, because some of you love proposals, and far be it from me to say that you shouldn't send a proposal, because if you feel like it's the right thing to do for you and your business, then send a proposal. So I've included it. Katie wasn't able to sell me then and there. So she said, okay, look, I'll send you a proposal. And I went, oh, that'd be really good. And then she says, what do you want in it? And I said, don't know, I'm probably not going to read it anyway, but I guess I need to know the number, and I might need to know your process and what makes you good, and maybe some testimonials. And Katie goes, all of that stuff that I've just told you, that's what you want to see. No problem. I can send you that proposal. But before I agree to do that, when are we going to meet? If I'm going to spend time doing this, then let's agree to when we can review it together. Is that fair? Yeah, that's fair. Okay, cool. We book the proposal meeting. And I go, Katie goes away, she does her proposal. I get 3 proposals because all of a sudden I didn't know I had a nail in the foot, but now I've got a nail in the foot. I'm going, I want to make sure I've got value. Quote, I look at the number on the back to figure out what it's going to cost, and very brief overview of what's going to be included. I make my decision on that. But because Katie's the only one who said, let's have a follow-up meeting, she's the one that gets my business. And therefore, we have that proposal meeting and Katie convinces me to move forward. And then she doesn't need to follow up with me because she wins it. That's the sales process, gang. That's how we do it. Now, we put tons of automation in to our stuff nowadays because I'm really fortunate and I've got a Sarah. But that, just having that step by step, these are the questions I need to ask. I can't progress on until I've got this information. Step, this is what I do next. This is the script that I've got for that part. This is the step that I make next. These are the questions I need to ask. It will help you to avoid getting to the end and realizing you missed some stuff and therefore the sale's going to go dead. It will help you stay on track, basically. There we go. Katie.
Just have one question. In the meeting that you're saying, hey, look, this is my process, 2 business meetings, 2 half days, then we meet every week. Are you saying then this will cost you X in that meeting?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I've probably already to be honest, I qualify all of my prospects very early on. Okay. I tell people, Natasha tells people at the initial meeting, business coaches and £1,000 plus VAT, masterminds 225 plus VAT. So they already know mine, but this is me. I would encourage you to get into the habit of front loading that stuff, because it's a great question, Katie, because what is the point in getting to the point where you've done all of this work, dancing with them, flirting with them, blowing smoke in their ass, for them to turn around and go, I can't afford it. I love it, but I can't afford it. It's a ginormous waste of time. So thank you for raising that, because I didn't include it anywhere. And actually the natural place to do that probably is the telephone session here. And look, and the way that you might choose to pitch it, and you need to script it out. You need to have some bullet points that you cover to make sure you cover the awkward stuff. But it might be to say that, look, I've got no idea whether I'm going to be the right. I'm sure I am. I've got clients that are paying me X, Y, and Z between this and this, and just float it. Because if in their head they go, that seems fair, that seems reasonable, that I feel like that's in a ballpark, that if she can help me solve that problem, that's worth it, then bingo, baby. If they don't think that, then wouldn't it be better to get them out of the pipeline so you can focus your energy on other people? Would be my assertion to you.
Yeah, thank you.
May.
Just on pricing, I have got another question, but just on pricing, we took a very conscious decision a few years back. We used to have our pricing hidden. People had to jump through quite a few hoops to get to it. And there's two sides of the coin to this. One, if there's loads of hoops for people to get to it and they've got to find the pricing page, it shows you that they're like super engaged. However, it could be argued that it takes a bit too much to get to it and they might miss it very easily or asking too much. So we took a conscious decision a few years ago to just make sure our pricing was completely transparent. It's navigatable from the main menu in the website for both Mastermind9, coaching, whatever you're looking for. And it's one of our triggers looking at this sales process. It's like it's way back down the left-hand side. It's one of the prospect suspect steps for us, that if somebody's been on the pricing page, it shows us a level of interest above and beyond on your newsletter. Like you've been looking at how much I actually charge. So you're a little bit more along, you're a little bit warmer than somebody that's just reading the blog, sort of thing.
It comes back to,
oh, sorry.
But on that point, it's a great point. On that point, it comes back to the avatar and the client, right? If Laura, because it's easy to pick on Laura. If Laura is in a meeting with someone who has got a 2-person office, she's going to immediately disqualify them as someone that isn't going to be right for her service. But if she didn't know that they only had two people in that office and she didn't do that pre-work, she could conceivably get to the end and say, we charge £3,000 a month to clean your office. And he's going, I don't pay £3,000 for my office. Why on earth would I pay £3,000 to clean my office? So it comes right back to the kind, making sure it's the avatar, making sure that you are focusing on the people that can afford what you do. If you go for the wrong people at the start, you're going to get people right the way along that love what you're doing but can't afford it, and that's just a waste of time. Sorry, sir, what's your question?
I'm just picking up from some of the chat in the chat. What if you already have a small version of your services that's paid? So like our strategy session, for example, how would you adapt this strategy session here so that you don't take away from your paying clients?
I'm not sure that I understand the question. I wouldn't. So if someone's a paying client.
So if you've got a one-off workshop fee for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours of your time,
Yes,
standalone as an offer for you, how would you do this strategy session without treading on the toes of paying clients?
I'm not sure how it could. How could it how could it tread on the toes?
You're giving away free time. So how do you square that off?
Yeah. If let's separate out Mastermind 9 and one-to-one coaching, because I can understand why if you were a masterminder, you might go, yeah, I want a 2-hour strategy session. But I think probably that's a great question. I
I
don't know.
guess avoid losing what could have been a paid opportunity.
No, look, if someone's going to pay me £8,000 a year, I don't care whether I lose 300 quid giving them a free strategy session. That's the long and short of it. If I think I can, if there's a 8,000, £12,000, if I think that someone is going to be up for becoming a one-to-one client, then I'll give them 500 quid's worth of free value. I might even give them a grand's worth of free value. So yeah, I think,
So I guess it's part of the qualifying piece.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't think I answered that very well, but
Oh, I think we got there. Well done, we persevered.
Your
thank you.
business model, doesn't it? Because I'm in a similar position to Nikki, that my marketing strategy session is a self-contained piece. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be doing that for free. And so when you're having that initial kind of one-to-one discovery call, that's where you're identifying the pain points, suggesting some ways forward. And I think it was Emma that then said, how do you then not give away too much? It's almost showing kind of the ideas and suggest some of the solutions, but without actually solving all of their problems.
Yeah, I guess the secret is to not give it all away, right? It's to give enough without giving it all. Like the art of it is helping them with one or two things and showing that you could help them with 8 or 10 things. But you have to demonstrate value, in my opinion. So the people that I know don't necessarily know, but the people who I watch that are doing exceptionally well in business at the moment are the ones that give stuff away abundantly for free and charge for execution. You can here's the blueprint, take it, do it. If you want it done faster, if you want it done better, then I can help you do that. They're the ones that are making loads of money. So, Sophie, what I would do if I was you is not call it necessarily a strategy session. I would, but I maintain, I would still give them stuff, give them advice, give them tips, give them ideas, but don't give them everything. Don't completely help them figure it out on their own. It's a balancing act. Chris.
So just a question about prices. How can you proactively assess somebody's ability to pay by creating that as part of your ideal client? For me, it's a little bit challenging because I'm competing against somebody who does stuff for free, the NHS, that can't actually provide the service people look for. And then everything in between, counselling, other therapies that people pay for and don't get results. So I know what I do would change lives, but it comes at a cost, a decent cost. And I've had everything from young people in the 20s, you think this is just going to be a bit of a waste of time, so do the consultation and at least they'll understand it and might come back later on. I go, yeah, I'll pay now and I'll pay in advance. Here we go. Because I've actually got more disposable income than many people in their 30s and 40s. So how would you go about that? How would you assess that?
I'd make it part of the qualifying process in a suspect becoming a lead, probably. If I switch to Mastermind 9 from Outside Ideas, in Mastermind 9, when Natasha is qualifying people in for a free mastermind session to see whether they like it, we're going to give stuff away for free. You guys have all experienced a free mastermind session to see whether you like it. Natasha will ask 3 questions to qualify them, 4 questions to qualify them. She'll say, we're only looking for people who are growth focused. Are you growth focused? You all said yes. We only look for people who like to help other people, who enjoy helping other people. Sounds weird, but we don't want people who are in it for themselves in our groups. Do you relate to that? Yes. You all said yes. We only want positive people in our groups because life's too short to surround yourself with people who aren't positive. Are you a positive person? Yes. Fabulous. We charge 225 plus VAT per month. Could you afford that? Yes. Like, she's got 4 qualified questions that she asked before. So this book, read that book, Chris.
Book yourself solid.
That
Is it
it's Michael Port, and I love it because it really delves into the psychology of selling. He talks about, I'll never forget this one. I forget a lot of stuff from the books that I read, but I'll never forget this. He talks about when you go to a nightclub and you get all dressed up and it's a nice nightclub and you're standing in the queue and then there's a satin rope or a velvet rope across the
rope strategy? Yeah.
The red satin rope strategy, and you get to the front and the bouncer looks you up and down and up and down, and then they pull back the rope and they let you in. And in that moment you go, fucking hell, I'm in the club, because not everyone's in the club, and you get a kind of psychological hit because you're in, you conform, you're in. And we are trying, we don't always do the best job, but we are absolutely trying to make it that we apply that red satin rope strategy throughout all of the business that we.
Yeah, I guess because obviously what I don't want to do is give prices until I've done a consultation. But I guess I could in the phone conversation say I work with people who are ready to face their stuff and ready to invest in themselves.
Yeah, what I would do if I was you is I'd go, typically, I can't say because everything that I do is completely bespoke, and it might be that you need more or less, and until we've done a session, I can't tell you what is going to be required to absolutely help you thrive, get to that place that you want to get to. But typically, I've got clients that are paying between this and this. If we can demonstrate that we can show you how we're going to help you get there, would that be an investment that's worth it for you? And if they go, no, that is a lot of money, then they're never going to buy from you. Don't waste your time.
Yeah.
Would be my advice. Now you can take that advice and throw it away. It's up to you to decide what you take from what I say, but I would always prefer for them to go, oh, that would be. And what sometimes Natasha will do is she'll listen to their voice, and if they hit all the boxes and they go, oh, 225, that would be a massive stretch, she'll go, look, come along to the taster session anyway and try it out. But if they're like no way, I'm starting out, there's no way I could afford that, not in a million years, we won't waste our time.
Pete, sorry, can I just interrupt you?
Yeah.
We've created that sales process worksheet. You forgot to talk about it.
Oh, I forgot to talk about it. We've got a downloadable sales process worksheet.
Yeah.
But Laura's going to put in the chat right about now. Emma.
Just carrying on from there, my comment in the chat.
I didn't look at the chat. Sorry.
No, so,
I can't do 2 things at once.
I know what
That's
the hell.
wife.
No, so it's just as Sophie was saying, the fact that we're all here and we're in this community means we're all givers and we want to support people and so on and so forth. And my real challenge, whenever I've been plotting out this stuff and the balances of it's bespoke, and it always sounds a bit like the dog ate my homework when you use that as I can't tell you because it's all bespoke, is how to strike the balance of adding value in that unique situation when you're having a conversation with someone to show that you can provide useful, credible, impactful support for their business, but in a way where you do enough without us with our giving hats on and our positive pants on, like not giving away all the crown jewels. I really find it difficult to not
You're not just getting paid for your ideas, mate. Your ideas are some of the best ideas of all of the ideas. I've benefited from your ideas and they're magical. But you don't just get paid for your ideas, you get paid for implementation, for applying the ideas, for wrangling cats, for doing all sorts of things. If some people take your ideas and run, then they were never going to be the sort of client that you were going to work with full time. It's why you need to strike the balance between giving value without giving everything. But do you know what? I give away everything. There ain't nothing that there probably is some stuff that I've not talked about. But if you ask me on any subject, I will tell you how to do it. It doesn't stop you wanting to be my customer, to use me. And I know it's different, but it's same but different. For you, definitely.
I think, yeah, okay. I think that for me, it's maybe a bit different, where the move is towards more strategy, less doing.
Yeah.
So the strategy is the sale.
So don't write the strategic plan for them, Emma. Give them a few of the things. Tell them how you would write the strategic plan. Don't write it.
I think it's maybe it's trying to see it. Like if I'm looking at it like this, I'm only seeing it like this.
Yeah.
So to try and shift my perspective to see it another way that I could, of how I position it.
So here's what I would do. There's a process that you follow when you do a strategy for someone. You're going to get together, you're going to ask them a ton of questions, you're going to identify where the challenge is, you're going to look at what they do, you're going to then move on to another section where you go, we're going to do this and this. What I would do is I would create that as Emma's business bollocks strategy, and I would make it wonderful. And then when I'm talking to them in those first 2/3, the 2/3 at the beginning, I would be cleverly weaving in when we do the strategy. And then you go, let me talk about how we'll do the strategy. I'm going to come to you and we're going to do this and this. It's going to take a day. Then I'm going to go away and I'm going to do this and this. And then I'm going to do this. And the outcome is this. And it's just going to cost you £10,000. What do you say?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Like when you just sell the process of how you're going to do it, if they take your, like any of you can go away, I can tell you the way that you should do this, the way that you should run your business. Here we go. This is a freebie. Decide what you want long term. I got that from Stephen Covey. Figure out the stuff that you want to have, what you want to do with your life, and who you need to be. Got that from Stephen Covey. 10 years, 20 years in the future. Start there. Start with the end in mind. And then work backwards from a 10-year goal for a 3-year goal for a 1-year goal through 90 days.